Well, hello gardeners, welcome back. We're in my backyard today, Vero Beach, Florida, Zone 10A, and today is all about cutting flowers. Today is all about bringing the outdoors inside. So I know up north, a lot of my clients have mentioned to me how they've made beautiful cutting gardens and they have all of those florals, they bring them inside and they have them for weeks on end and they don't have to buy any bouquets from the flower shops. However, here in Florida, that seems to be a mystery to us. I've not been able to really recreate that kind of feel in my own garden. However, what I do is there are so many different variations of color, beautiful variegated plants that I absolutely do that constantly. I have so much greenery inside that comes from the outside, and I don't miss a time of trimming. And as you guys can see, we've recently done a big heavy trim back. So I thought today's video would be an ideal time to take those plants, those clippings that we did, and show you guys what we brought inside to create beautiful little cutting vases, things that last weeks and months in my house. I pretty much just take from the outside and bring it in. And anytime I have a gathering or friends come over for the evening, I will come out and clip and nip and do just a little bit of a light trimming and put them in vases inside and put them in the bathrooms, the guest bathrooms, put them, just everywhere that I feel like I want a touch of just a little bit of softness to kind of share with my company that comes here. So I thought today I would do a video on my favorite plants to cut, things that last a while, because I'm a busy lady, so I really need it to be a kind of a one and done. Trim, put it inside, maybe every couple weeks, just change the water out, but it does super, super well long term, and I thought that I would share those particular plants and trees, as well as maybe some that I've done in the past that were nightmares, maybe just leafed all over the counter and was just not a thing to do. So let's get started with my first and one of my favorites. So you've seen my Anti-Lou Cordylines, you've seen my Red Sisters, you've seen my Exoticas. I have a few different varieties of Cordylines, mainly because I love that spotlight of color in a relatively dark space. They really offer that kind of pop of color. But another thing that I love about them is they become one of my focal points on the inside of my house. They sit on my little table that my husband and I eat at, usually late in the evenings. It's near the TV. It's not our dining room area, but it's kind of our little seating section that we'll have dinner at. And it's the plant that I love to put there because it's very vertical, doesn't take up much space, and it offers a pop of colors. This is my Marie variety, and I am a big fan of this plant. I know I don't use it very often in other landscapes because honestly, it is a hybrid variety that's been out for 5 or 6 years, but I've had a love-hate relationship with it. I've had some great success with it, and I've had some areas where it just didn't do well. So I'm still learning a little bit more about it. However, this particular grouping has always done well. Protected from the wind and with this wall, but it is a gorgeous variation in color. I'll usually mix this clipping with an Exotica plant, another Cordyline variety, and that bright and dark tones are just absolutely stunning. Now, if you guys have watched my Cordylines video, you know that I trim these guys, the tallest one, twice a year, and I will pretty much just take right from the trunk, diagonally cut, and then take this guy and put him right into a large vase. So the best thing that you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna really just take off these lower leaves, giving you a little bit of a stem work. Now, this plant can go right into the ground, right next to the current pot plant here, or it can go into a vase. And I put it into a vase because, it's the weekend, I want something fun, and I'll stick it right into that center of the vase, maybe put a little bit of Song of India around it to brighten this color up, or another type of Cordyline around there. And then once it roots, next month or two, I'll take it out and I'll put it right into the ground somewhere else, and voila, I have a brand new plant, but I got to enjoy it inside for such a long period of time. All right, you guys, so my next favorite plant to use as cuttings would be the Areca Palm, AKA Lady Palm. I love the texture. Now, I know we don't have much color here, but I just absolutely love what this looks like. I have a large, wide mouth vase that I use this particular plant with, and I just think it looks so good. I put it right on my little tables in my living room. It's not super large, super obstructive, but it's the perfect kind of, little architectural sculpture in that space. So I constantly do that. These little leaves will keep for I've had them in there for 2 months, you know, change the water out every couple weeks, of course, but I've had them in there for a couple months and they just do beautifully. You kind of want to add a little bit of color, a little punch to them. Incorporate some really gorgeous Cordylines, or you can incorporate some small little clusters of ice tone Crotons or magnificent Crotons or mango Crotons. I kind of like that combination with this type of leaf texture. It does so well. I just kind of farm this little tree right here just for the leaves. So I'll pick out some of my favorite leaves to work with, and I don't cut the whole stem. I just cut the leaves themselves because it's a rather small vase and it's in my TV room, so I don't want it to take up too much space. But what a cool leaf pattern. They create new leaves and new growth so much that I don't have to be super careful with taking too much from it because they're such a prolific grower. But I love these. Now, to me, this screams Florida tropical. Obviously, like I said, you can incorporate some beautiful flowers if you want to mix in with these, but I just love this kind of paddled, wide-fingered leaf here. They look so great and last so very long in a vase. All right, you guys, the next plant that I love to harvest for cuttings, I would say would be the Crotons, and I love all varieties. The ones that do the best are the ones that have long hardwood stems to them. So once your Crotons get some size to them, it's ideal to use for cuttings. They last much longer. When they're still young and a little bit tender, that can be a little bit tricky. So make sure that they are more of your older variety. So you kind of see how I've got one stem sticking out here. I kind of don't need that, so I'm gonna go ahead and clip this guy for my indoor vase. You just try to clip between the nodes, take off some of that lower stemming. Can you guys ignore my clippers? I'm so embarrassed. I threw away my Felcos last weekend when I was doing some trimming in the garden. I'm just so heartbroken over it. So you just kind of take this and incorporate this in any little clippings that you've got. Now I have got ice tone Crotons are my favorite. Magnificent Crotons work as well, but ice tone Crotons, I love this coloration here with Cordylines. I just think it does a fantastic job. My goal would be to find the tallest one in the group though, because you always want kind of a layered planting. You don't want to sacrifice your plant grouping just to make clippings. You kind of see how we've got some height here and then we've got some lower stumps here. So if we could take this tall one with old wood and growth on it and just kind of clip it down here, you're gonna get now new growth all over the top of this plant. And then now this plant is, voila, a beautiful specimen for a nice little vase, either on its own or with a collection of some beautiful plants. This will give you several weeks in the garden. Now, propagating these guys, I've not had a lot of luck, so I can't say that's ideal for that, but they definitely give you a lot of beautiful color and a small dark space if you have it in your house. Total game changer when it comes to not having to spend any money on a bouquet. Add these to maybe some ferns and voila, you've got a nice little display. Here's another example of an unwanted stem. So see how this is crowding my Mammy Crotons? And I love the leaf color on this guy. This is a banana leaf Croton. It was a test trial Croton that has done super well. It takes a good year to get going, but once it gets going, she's a stunner. But I don't like how she's encroaching on my Mammy Croton, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that limb off. And what a gorgeous display she's going to give me with my other plants in my collection. You guys, I feel like I'm shopping. That is the best part about this whole thing is you come outside, you enjoy your garden, you see little things and you're like, you know what? I could kind of use you, bring you inside, indoors, and really kind of benefit from seeing you all through the house. And if anything brings you outside more, it's just seeing the beautiful color of that foliage inside that is just kind of a no-brainer. So I know most Florida homes have 1, 2, or 20 of these kind of trees. It's the Areca Palm. It is your pretty common overall buffer planting tree. I love having them in my garden. They do super well in filtered light, full shade to early midday sun. Once they get past that, they can have that more of that golden kind of color, more of the yellow tone color. So to me, this is the ideal place to pick where I have a little bit more shade and protection. My Areca Palms are gorgeous and green. So I love coming over here. You kind of see how I have an overhang on top of my current little planting bed that I have here. So I don't necessarily need these guys. So I use them again, indoors, and they're super easy because they're such a prolific grower. I don't have to worry about where I trim because they will offer me new fronds in no time. Just look at what a beautiful display this is. If you've got a large vase in your house, it just adds a little bit of grace, and it doesn't need to be 20 of them. I've done a display with just 3 of these guys, some Crotons in the middle, maybe a Cordyline as a centerpiece, and oh my goodness, it is just such a stunner. And what's great about these, if you've got like a potted plant where you've not had a bunch of luck with that potted plant, if you do what I do when you put plants in a pot, it's not irrigated, they tend to die a slow death. I know I shouldn't say that, but that's what happens to my potted plants. I've got 2 vases inside my kitchen area, and I love incorporating these in there. They're just so graceful, so beautiful, and frame my dining room window. So, spoils. Now that's the way I like to shop. All right, you guys, welcome inside. We're in my home, and I think it's the first time that we've been in here, so I'm so grateful to share it with you guys. I thought we would bring the bouncy to the kitchen table, kind of just like how I do. I wouldn't say I do it every single weekend, but I do it many, many weekends, and it's like the perfect Saturday thing to do. I love walking around my garden early in the morning with my cup of coffee, just kind of seeing who's doing what, who's acting up, who's being dramatic, who whatever. And then that's also when I have my trimmers, usually in my back pocket, and I will just clip kind of as I go. I'll clip something that's looking fabulous, or maybe something that's just kind of in the way of something else that I can utilize inside. So today I kind of took you on that journey with me and picked up some fun things. These are the vases that I normally use throughout my space in the garden. So I leave them empty, and then I will incorporate my favorite plants. And I kind of, each vase has its own kind of plant species that I tend to work with. So as you can see, I have these beautiful vases that I got for Bryce's wedding. I have 2 that I kept for myself. These are absolutely just a fun vase to have indoors. I use my Areca Palms. You guys know I have tons of Areca Palms, so I totally love to use these in this particular space. These palms will last in this vase for 2 months, and they will do fine. Now, I don't put water in right away. I cut them, I let them sit for about 2 days, harden off a little bit, and then add water. I know that seems crazy because you think, gosh, wouldn't they dry out? But they just seem to hold so much better like that. So I will fill half of this with water, and then about every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll switch out this water. I would like to say I'm more diligent than that, but I'm really not. So my small vases, I definitely do about every 2 weeks until they're ready to be kind of popped out. And you'll know that. They'll start to kind of give you a little bit of yellow tone, and they're like, okay, I'm kind of done visiting. I'm kind of over, put me out of my misery, and then I move on to do more clippings. So the very first thing is going to be my small vase. I got this for Mother's Day, God, forever ago, and it is just such a fun little vase. It's absolutely short, big wide mouth. I love the gold trim. Goes perfectly on a little table that I have right in my TV room. Now, because this is so short, you want to make sure that you use a small or narrow stem. This is exactly why I use the Rafis palm. And you notice I didn't cut the whole trunk on the Rafis palm. I just cut the individual stems, but they add such a bit of architectural detail to this little vase here, and they're not tall, so they're not going to obstruct the TV, because I have men in my house and they have a hard time seeing through fronds. Go figure, but they do. So this is the perfect little piece for me. So I add a little bit of water, and I usually don't do any more than this. Now, I know this doesn't offer color, but I do think it offers fun. It offers texture. I set it right on one of my design books, and it's just perfect for that. Let me add some water, and then I'll show you guys where it goes. And voila, we are done. All right, you guys, so what's next is one of my favorite vases throughout my whole house. I usually will put something that's really wide in here. So that's kind of why I use my collection of Crotons in here. Sometimes I'll put some ice plants kind of dripping, or some ferns dripping to it. I love ferns in a vase. The only thing I do not like is how much they drop leaves. So those little kind of pin needle leaves, they can be kind of crazy. The only fern that I tend to really love to work with are the foxtail ferns. I have it on my windowsill. It's been there for almost 2 months. They will get a little dried, so when you go to change out the water, you will have little fern needles everywhere. Easy to clean up, but such a vertical aspect in the garden, and you've got to trim those anyway. So I just take the trimmings and I put them in a vase and I utilize them that way. So I'll start with the whitest one first, and you guys probably know this as you guys work with your plants, but you'll see kind of how that's big and broad there. And then I'll kind of do all of my little fluff. So these are nice and vertical. Angle this one out just to balance out with the angle that we have here. And voila, add a little filtered water to that guy and you're kind of good to go. And I place him in the same spot all the time in the kitchen area. So this is my little tea set. I just pretty much put them in here. My family and friends will know this, but I find little tea or coffee pots. I know this is off topic, but I find them all the time at like Goodwill or little thrift stores that, you know, maybe have a broken little lid or whatnot, and they're like $1. So many cute ones that I found that you can put little plants in there that have just started to root. Some of my alocasias, some of my pothos, really unique things that you can put in here and then give as a gift to someone visiting. I just think that is such a cool thing to do. So there are so many out there. I literally get them for like $1, $2, and then they just kind of make little treats. A lot of times I'll put them in the bathroom with a little plant in there, and it's just perfect. I don't have a lot of small vases around the house, so I usually use this as like a lower tier in the plant grouping. So it kind of goes like this, or at the bottom with something vertical popping out of it. So this is the Song of India. I use it for everything. I've put it in water, put it on my wall. It's just such a fabulous plant to work with. You take off these lower leaves. You don't have to be super delicate with this plant. It does not mind it. It will pop out roots. And you guys, I don't like tons of frills. I don't like too much mass. I'm not gonna cut all these little individual browns that are on there. That is just part of nature. It comes in just that way. The only thing I will check it for is if we have any pests or bugs or anything along those lines. It's usually as good as a rinse and you're good to go. I just think that what a great display that makes right there. So I just love the way that little touch of dark and bright looks in the garden. All right, you guys, so the last vase that I have is this big boy. So I tend to use the Areca Palm fronds. I cut them way down so they have just a little bit of just kind of a lacy look to them because I just don't have the room, unfortunately, for ones like this. This is the only vertical space that I have for those guys. And as you can tell, there's not a lot of vertical space there either. Trim these guys almost in half just before you get to the bend of it. And then just take off some of these lower fronds. We're not propagating these guys. These are just sitting in water, so you don't have to be super gentle with them. They're pretty much just to kind of give us a little bit of oomph. It is not as good as my Falcos. Now, this does right here, now you can put this right into the ground right next to where I took this plant. It will reroot and offer you a whole new plant. So don't toss any of your cuttings when it comes to your Cordylines because they are worth their weight in gold as offering you brand new plants. Now, this particular planter, I only keep this in this planter for about no more than a month because you see how tight this nozzle is? It is not an ideal planter for plants that you want to reroot. These plants will root in about a month and you'll start to see them kind of spiral down. And when that happens, you don't want to tug on those tender roots by getting them out. So I will keep it in for a few weeks and then take it out so I can go ahead and put it back in the garden. It's just too pretty just to kind of toss. So I do my best to remember to do that. But gosh, what a beautiful display it makes as a gorgeous centerpiece. And you kind of see what I mean? If you have them in a real vertical planting like this, gosh, it takes no space. This is the little area that my husband and I will have dinner when the kids aren't here with us. It's just kind of a nice little spot in the TV room where we can flip the TV around and enjoy this area. And I don't feel like I have a plant right in my face. It's right above us. And that is the best my husband's gonna get because I have plants everywhere. So I wanted to share with you guys this one because it's been beautiful. It's been easy. It's just so easy to work with. And I just thought, gosh, if you guys enjoy plants inside, you might enjoy these. Now, these are in soil. Originally, these little acrylic bowls were set for fish bowls. There's no pumps or no nothing. I'm not quite sure how that works. So what I chose to do with them is fill them with cocoa coir, a little bit of moss at the top, and then plant my plants. Now, these guys have been in here for 2 years, and they are still doing stunning. Ashamed to tell you how little I water this, just kind of as needed. It looks like it could use a drink. It's been about a month, I would say, since I've watered her. and she's still doing so stunning. I have the lemon lime pothos vine. This is a cutting from years ago of the ZZ plant, and it just kind of stuck it into those spots, and it's done super well. A Dracaena down here at the bottom have done fabulous. I will put the link to the description down below where I got these from, which was just Amazon, and they've just been fabulous. They don't harm my wall. They're just kind of easy to pop in and pop out if I need to pop them off. They're on a little screw hook here, and that's just kind of how they're set up. Generally narrow wall, but this plant is one that I take clippings off all the time and add to other parts of the garden. I have several clippings from this plant on my actual living wall, so it has just been a stunner, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. I have a little old light that I put on years ago. They've got so many better grow lights now. That was just to kind of help this guy get going. If you guys enjoy bringing your outdoors inside, then this might be kind of a little touch that you might want to do. This is the foxtail fern. It always stays here. This is kind of the little spot that I like to keep it in. As you can see, these are the little needles that I mean when it dries. So over time that will happen, but what a great vertical look. And trimming has to be done on that every couple months anyway. So what a great thing to utilize the trimmings on, and just pop them into a little bit of water, and they add a little bit of green inside your space. All right, you guys, I also wanted to throw this in there. You know your girl is a landscape designer here in Vero Beach, Florida, Zone 10A. I have an in-house landscape design team, and we also do landscape designs only and landscape consultations, virtual consults for those of you guys who may not need a big master plan or have a large project, but might just need some help with some key areas in your garden and just kind of need somebody to walk you through it. I'm happy to meet with you and talk with you and do that. So reach out to us and we will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe and check out our most recent video. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy those rare finds, those rare exotics out in the garden.